Hello, 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 everybody. Here we are on the 10th of August. I want to give a shout out to P&G. We sent them a special video last night, myself and Chris at midnight, maybe a little bit after. Let them know we're still supporting them and keep your eye on the prize. Please, please. We care about you. I mean that. Today we got a really special guest. He came on one of our webinars the other day when Ash was on. And I remember Ash goes, "Where'd that Jerry guy go?" And we were like, "Why?" "He sounds like Nelson Mandela." So I said, So he was looking for him, and they finally hunted him down somehow. I don't know who found him. Who found him, Chris?
Collins Manna helped us out and got a hold of him.
Okay. Collins Manna from heaven found him. So he's here today. I've got a cold still, so I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
All right. As Marty said, I came onto the Heroes webinar really late, and all I heard was Ash kept saying, "Where's Jerry? Did we find Jerry?" And he kept going on and on. I'm like, "Who's Jerry?" And I know nothing about this gentleman. I've talked to him, called him after Collins Manna. Thank you, by the way, for getting me the information. I've talked to Jerry a little bit on the phone. He sent me some pretty cool stuff. He sounds like he's a rock star, a gem, and I'm going to bring him on because I don't know nothing about him. He has to talk through my phone because I believe he's in, Ghana, Africa. I think he'll let us know, and we're going to find out a little bit about Jerry. So now we are talking through the phone because of the microphone system's not working over there, but we're going to try our best. So Jerry is going to come on here right now. Let me turn my volume back up. There'll be a little bit of echo for a minute. Okay, Jerry Otoyo, the floor is yours, brother.
It's Otoyo.
Otoyo, I apologize.
Yeah, that is how to pronounce it.
You go right ahead, Jerry. It's all about you right now.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm so grateful that you've called on me to be on this particular program. I don't know how to talk about myself much, but I think there is echo at your side. If that could be muted.
Yeah, Jerry. That's because it's going through the phone, so there's going to be a little bit of an echo. I can't mute her; I wouldn't be able to hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. I would like to say that I'm a simple person. I don't have that much of a popular background that I can talk of. But before I would say anything, being a child of God, a minister of the gospel, I think I will start this way. I have a dual background, Nigerian background and a Ghanaian background. And usually I introduce myself in the same way that the Bible introduced the prophet Elijah. The Bible says that Elijah, the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead. Simple. There was no other introduction about this gentleman than to say Elijah, the Tishbite. And I think that has also related in the way that I carried myself with not so much of introduction on me. I also learned this from my master, Jesus, because he was from a very simple background. And God has made it so to use people from very simple background to reach out to the world. And I believe that is what God is doing. I was born and raised as a Nigerian, so I grew up in a town called in the eastern part of the country. But as time goes on, I had serious encounter with the Lord, because at the age of 14, I went for a crusade at Calabar.
And this
And
crusade
this
was hosted by
was
American evangelist that was known as Reverend Ernest Angeli. He's late now, and I don't know how God does things. I appeared there. There were over 20,000 people in the stadium, but I went there on my own at the age of 14. I don't know what I said to the usher during that program, and they brought me up to the stage in front of about 20,000 people. I still have the video somewhere I found on YouTube. And at that time, I realized that God has something to do with me. Because after sharing a testimony with Ernest Angeli on stage, and by the time I left, Ernest paused whatever was going on and said, God is going to use young people in this age to reach out to the world. And
We can hear you. We can hear you, brother. Keep talking.
I thought my phone
It's
was the one that
working now. It's working now. You got it, Jared. Go ahead. It's all you.
Yeah, I thought my phone was the one playing trick on me. So from there, I actually went back. This was, living around to Calabar was a mission that was not sanctioned by my parents then. And what actually happened was that when I came back, I was like, the family actually disowned me. They said, no, why did you go that far and all that happened? But I see that the hand of God was on me. And that is what actually guided me up to this time. 2 years later, after that experience, I was in my room when I had an encounter with the Lord Jesus. It was one-on-one encounter. I've never, even till today, I've not heard someone sharing such a testimony or such experience that I have gone through. Because I had this encounter with the Lord. I was with him. It was first like a dream. And when I woke up in the middle of the night and I was contemplating what happened, I was just 16 years at that time. What happened? Why me? Why this kind of visitation? Why this kind of a call? And the man that I had, the man that I saw in the dream appeared in front of me. Lifting up my eyes to look at him, the same person who spoke to me in the dream, the same person was there. So he held my hand and we went out of the room. I just walked with him out of the room without opening the door. We were outside, and outside was different from the usual outside of the compound that I know. It was a tall mountain, and we began to climb this mountain. We climbed to the top of the mountain, both of us with my hand in his. And on getting up to the top of the mountain, I could see the entire world from there. I believe that is what God wanted to show me. I could see the entire world from that top of the mountain. And at that point, you could see the heads of people like they are in thick darkness. And I couldn't understand. There was light radiating from the man standing by me, and that light surrounds us, both of us together. And then he opens his mouth and said something for the first time and said, this is why I called you. I called you because I want you to send this light you are experiencing in me to the entire world. And immediately he said that, I found out that it was a trance. So the second experience of the night from the dream was a trance. And I was there asking God, why? Because I've not seen someone who have had a call and accepted at the first time without, arguing. So at that age, 16, I was asking God, what is happening? And all of a sudden, I saw a light. It was a midnight experience. I saw a light from the rooftop just shining onto my lap. And it opens as a book. And there was Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 19. And in that scripture that was written, it says, arise, for your time is at hand. And I picked my Bible to read. I stood up, I picked my Bible to read, and the actual verse says, they would fight against you, but will not prevail against you, for I am with you to deliver you, says the Lord. And with that experience, I said, God, I am ready. I was just very young. I had a rough experience. I mean, being someone that comes from, a dysfunctional family. I couldn't have the opportunity others have to go through this, the normal educational process. So I, at the point, in terms of education, at the point I have to even hawk some things on my head to be able to buy textbooks for myself. So today, when I was thinking about this meeting, I asked God, if Onpassive can bring me to the world, for the world to see a man like me who came from nowhere, then it means this is God's project. Truly speaking, I've always believed that this is God's project, but this experience is actually confirming what I've been thinking about, and I knew of, that God can raise somebody from nowhere and put him at the top. And that is exactly what is happening. So I even fought to fund my primary school education. You can imagine a child of that age hawking to pay school fees, to buy textbooks for himself. It wasn't like I didn't have a family, rich people in the family who could fund my education. But God made it so that no one would take glory for what he has done in my life. So I picked interest in technology. The only technology we had then was just a typewriter. The type that if you type, you press, and those are the type of the machine that we had. And the church I attended had that in the office. So I picked interest in it. I started sleeping in the church office so that in the nights when the secretary leaves the office, I would try to use the typewriter to work. That was how my interest in technology started. And at the point when I entered secondary school, I couldn't continue with my education. So at that level, I stopped. I actually dropped out. I remember when I went to school during the exam period. I tried to write the exams. I was sent out of the exam hall for not paying my school fees. I took a bicycle ride to the city to meet with my dad then, and I asked for school fees. Nothing was offered. I have to ride back to school. And he has a room which I was occupying. I have to give that room out on rent, and I took the money to pay for my school fees. And how many times are you going to give the same room out for school fees? And it wasn't even enough to take you beyond a term. And so all I could do was to drop out of school, and that was it for me. And I started training. At the point, let me just move forward because of time. At the point while in the church, I was so much into whatever God was doing in my life. I study, I teach, I to even teach children in the church. I moved on to do other things in the church on my own. I would call my pastor and say, I want to do this. And he would put me through, and I would go on doing what I desire doing, like ushering and all those stuff in the house of God. And when one day God visited me and asked me to go to a particular Bible school, and I told my pastors that this was it, that I was going to school. Actually, they didn't like that particular school. They didn't want me to go to that school. But I said, this is what God showed me. My pastor said, okay, you can go and obey God. If God have shown you, then go and obey him. I thank God. I actually did. Went and then obeyed God in the way he wants me to. And so from there, I completed the Bible school, come back to the church. I was around that time. I think I was 22 around that time. So from one thing led to another. I had a call onto coming to Ghana, and so I came. And I always knew that the way things was going, actually being that I have parents from both sides of the country, I think I should go to my country and then be part of what God is doing there. So coming down to Ghana, it wasn't easy, but I came. I fit into the society. But that is just about me. I said I don't usually like talking much about myself. Now, being that I did not have the secular education in the way I would have, because I was brilliant, I was sharp, and I always wanted to be a medical doctor, what I thought as a child. Of course, if you ask every African child, what do you want to be? The one says, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor. And that has been it. So, and my drive to become a medical doctor was because I have doctors in our family. And once one of the doctors visited our home, that time, I think I was just about 5 years old. And he brought a newspaper and asked me to read. When I read the newspaper, I said, you are brilliant. I would like you to be like me. So since then, that has been in my mind. But God being so good, he called me even at the tender age unto himself. Now, I came down and I began to be in one church or the other. I believe the first church I worked with in Ghana when I came was Heart of Deliverance Ministry. The name I've changed now in Accra. And I worked with that church for some time. And then they asked me to to come and give a talk, just like 20 minutes talk to Bible school students. And I went. I was 24 by that time. I gave the talk. And after that, the authority of the school says, no, I have to be a lecturer in the school. A lecturer in the school, and I only had a Bible school diploma at that time. So I accepted, not on salary, but on some allowance. If I mention the amount here, Ghanaians will laugh, but it was then, you see. So on allowance, I was to teach. And when the letter of appointment came, I saw that I was made the director of administration. What have they seen in me that they gave me that position as the director of administration? And so I took it up. After some years, 4 years later, I was called to establish a Bible school. That was in the year 2000. And I established a Bible school that God is still using to train me. To cut the long story short, the Bible school that I run have trained hundreds of pastors, ordained hundreds of pastors into the ministry. How did I make it that far? I train myself. I study English. I read books. All the books behind me, if you ask me anything about them, I can tell you because I read books. I study online and I did so much. And today I can boast of degree because of the online portals that have been opened. And not only that, I have never received a salary in my life. Like I've worked for someone to pay me a salary. No, I've not had that privilege of receiving a salary in my life. But God has taken care of me. I'm a husband. I'm also a father of 3 girls and 1 boy. They're all grown up because my last baby is 21 this year. And that is to the glory of God. And with this family God has given to me, He took care of them. Not because I run a church. I've never, I've pastored churches for people, but I'm not a pastor of a church, but I'm an apostle by calling. Because I train pastors like I'm a pastor of pastors. I train pastors, ordain those qualified pastors into the ministry. And how did I come to Onpassive? Anytime there is online program coming up and people call me and say, oh, there's this online project, I want you to be involved, I get myself involved because that is the only way I made the little money that took care of myself, to take care of myself and the family. And from there, in 2019, January, a young man who has been in my team in other network program called me and he just sent me a message, and that was a link, the Go Founders link. And I look at it, that was all he did. I did not consult him, I did not ask him for anything. I just looked at the link, I clicked on that link, that was it. And then as I study, sometimes I listen to her speak, I attend meetings, and I said, no, this is God's project. I call it God's project for this end time. Onpassive has become my blood. If I said my blood, it is absolutely true, because you cannot have a vision that I have, the kind of a drive that I have to see people being liberated, to see people who are at the low coming up to be somebody. Look, the way things have been in my life, I've decided that I'm not going to live this world the same way I meet it. And I do not want to see children go through the things that I went through. And so because I could not have the secular education the way I wanted, I made up my mind that no matter what happened, I'll make sure all my children pass the level that have been to. And that has been a promise that I kept. I actually kept that promise for my children and beyond. What did I do before meeting Onpassive? I was with organization in Accra, and I worked with them for years. And along the way, they saw my passion and decided to sponsor me in order to reach out to less privileged children. And I've been for more than 15 years going around the whole Ghana. Then we were having 10 regions in Ghana. I went around with my team to all the 10 regions every single year, supporting children who are less privileged, parents who doesn't have money to take care of their children. We buy books, we buy shoes, clothes, and other things. And then even with school fees. Some of the children we started during those times to train. Some of them have completed university, some of them secondary school, some of them are working and are taking care of their families. Because of that little effort, it was like a drop in the ocean. But it encourages their parents to do more, to push them, because somebody was there pushing them, helping them. And so if you ask me, what will you do with Onpassive? This is one of the things to make sure that education is a privilege for every children. You ask me, what again will you do? I can tell you that I traveled to the north on Monday. That was on the way when I listened to what happened on Sunday during Heroes Web Banner. And on my way going to the north, and I realized that there were mad people walking. And I have that program in mind to make sure that there would be no insane person walking on this planet. It is not just a Ghanaian project. It is a project that will cover all the world to make sure that all the mad people who are insane are taken off the streets and given a good, healthy life. Because I believe that if you take a mad person and put him in a very good environment, feed him well, his insanity will drop. And that has been a burden in my heart. And seeing men like me walking naked along the street and people would pass them by and all that, it pains my heart. And so that is one of the things that I'm actually looking at to make sure that the life of those people change as is transformed. There is a better education, there is a better healthcare, and there is good water. Because I had opportunity of hosting people from Bermuda. That was from a year before COVID. Some group of missionaries came from Bermuda, and I hosted them with my organization. And we went to a village to provide water, good water for. So when I went, I saw the water people are drinking, and I was sad. And these missionaries from Bermuda actually invested some money. I've traveled around. Sometimes you go to a place, see that the water people are drinking. I mean, you can't even use it to wash your floor. And because of that, I decided, no, if God blesses me, this is one of the projects I will embark on, making sure people have good water, people have good health care, because these are the things that are lacking. And of course, when we started this meeting today, you saw how we struggled with the sounds and all that before we came live. And I traveled to the north. I realized I was supposed to have this particular time with you from the north, because I plan to stay there for 10 days. That means I would have returned back to Techiman, where I now base. I would have come back to Techiman on Wednesday next week. But going there, I couldn't even have network to access my WhatsApp. I tried everything. I would walk to some places before network would drop, and going back there, I wouldn't get network. So I can't handle this laptop outside doing what I'm doing now. So I decided, no, let me return back. So all these things happen with the cuts on the network on that Sunday. Even when I'm in this town, the network cut and I couldn't have access to respond to hash call on that day. Is to tell us that all is not well in our world. Our world needs to change. And so I believe that only Onpassive is going to bring this change to the world by making sure that there is equality among everybody in this life. And so this is a little bit I will say. But talking about Onpassive, for me, Onpassive is life to the world. And I want to read this quote, and it says, "What is the usefulness of competing to be among the world's richest men on earth when there are poor and suffering people still living within your vicinity?" That is for me what Onpassive is coming to do. Not to create world richest people. I believe from what I've heard from my CEO, Ash, looking at his lifestyle, he would never compete to be one of the world richest men on this earth, because his heart is so big, bigger than to keep the wealth for himself and have a name among the richest men in the world. But for me, he is the richest because he has a big heart. He has a big heart. And that is where Onpassive is having humanity at the heart. And so this is a little bit what I can say for now. I don't know if I've exhausted the time, but I can still keep on talking if you want me, Marty and Chris.
No, Jerry, you did wonderful. Marty is actually got a big family thing going on right now. He's not going to come on, but he's saying, "Great job, Jerry." Jerry, I think both of us can say we love that the faith, and I say it every day. Your faith in God is amazing. You are, Gina Leva made a comment in here. I really wanted to see where it was at. Gina, if you could redo the comment you put in there, let me see if I can find it. And I really loved what she had to say. It was about Jerry in his own little corner of the world, what he's doing for humanity, something like that. Wait till Onpassive gets behind him and watch what he really can do. So, a very interesting story about you. I loved it. Now the world knows who Jerry, and I'm going to say this, Otoyo, is it Otoyo?
Otoyo.
Otoyo. I'll get it one of these days. But you were absolutely amazing, Jerry. Let's go now. Jerry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, my internet's even going bad today. But Jerry, we want to thank you very much for coming on here. Is what you don't know is Jerry sent a beautiful message to Ash the other day. I sent it to Ash, and Ash replied with a beautiful message to Jerry. It was really cool. I think that lit up Jerry pretty good. But Jerry, you're your own light, man. You're carrying your own beautiful things in that mind. And talk about, which I've said my whole life, is we're supposed to make it better for our kids. And in this world right now, it seems like that's hard to do with all the crisis going on. I mean, we got earthquakes, financial crashes, and it's hard to think about the future. What are my kids going to do? But with Onpassive, my future is bright for my children. I know yours are, and a lot of people are. So that's how I think is when everything else is falling, Onpassive keeps growing. So that's what I love. But Jerry, you got the last word. I want to thank you once again, but you close it out.
Hello. I didn't hear you. The line was breaking. Chris.
I said, Jerry, you're going to have to watch the recording. I said nothing but good things. You said a lot of important things on there about future generations for our kids. And I'll do it quick here. With everything failing in this world, Onpassive is growing. And that was where the bright light is for me about what Onpassive is going to do for our kids and us and the world. You close it out, Jerry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Actually,
You
there is
close
no
it out.
reason for us to live in this world. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jerry.
Okay. So I was saying that there is no reason for us to live in this world if it is not to better the world, to make the world a better place than what we came to meet it. And why did I have to go through all the experience that I had and God still bring me up here? It is because God wanted me to know what people are feeling like. Because if I'd come from a rich family, a rich background, and have all the good things of this life, I might not have this feeling about people. And God have taken me through a lot so that I can actually learn. And when he brings me up there, then I will be a voice for the voiceless. I will be a one that would actually direct the attention of the world to the needy, to make sure that the world is left better because I believe that we will transit. Definitely no one will live on this earth forever, but this earth will continue. And if the world should continue, then we must live it better than we came to meet it for our children. That is all that I know. And you know one thing, Chris, have this burden. I showed you on Sunday, if you were on the call on Heroes, I showed this document to the screen. And it was an address that I read during the last graduation we had. This particular one here is for last year. It's 9 pages, that address. But this one was just 6 pages. But you see, I'm sad with what is happening in the world. When I see what is going on, I am terribly want a transformation. And I believe so much that Onpassive is word. I wrote some things I would like to read out just briefly. And it says, concerning Africa, this about Africa. I said, Africans' wealth can never run dry. And that is why we are repositioning ourselves to become the beacons of hope to the rest of the world. We shall soon feed the whole world with our generosity, and no one will be hungry again. The war between the political Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestine is not a delight to Africa. And that is why, while the whole world sits and look on the massacre of human lives in Gaza, it was South Africa, again, an African nation, that stood publicly against this injustice on the people of Palestine. We are for peace and prosperity. I'm talking about Africans. We are for peace and prosperity, and we shall secure this for the whole world. Not the peace and prosperity is not just for Africa. We are going to fight to make sure that the whole world experience this peace. Esau in the Bible was the firstborn, and as those who claim and live his prophecy, we shall reclaim this position in order to give direction to the world. And what is the prophecy of Esau? It's found in Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. And it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt save thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Now, this was what Isaac spoke to Esau after losing his birthright to Jacob. And he says, you shall save your brother. And Africans, as the firstborn, have been saving our brothers. And trickishly, the World Bank and IMF, they have done all they could to bottle Africa and to make sure Africa does not rise. But people like Hash, people like Chris and Marty, myself, we are ready with Onpassive to stand up and fight this injustice, to make sure that we stop war, the war that is going on in our world, to stop hunger that is going on in our world, to make sure that we bring the world to a place that we can call it the hidden again. And that is what I'm standing for. And I believe that Onpassive will be an answer to that. That is why I don't know what else to do, because everywhere you give me a pulpit, you give me a platform, there is no way I would end without bringing you back in touch with Onpassive. And because I truly have faith that this is the hand of God that is ready to reach out to our world. Thank you.
Wow. I have to agree with you 100%, Jerry. I love the way you think. I don't believe in war myself. I know we've had a lot of them, but the wars today are nothing but murder, and it's horrible. So, Jerry, I want to read you real quick what Jean wrote, because she sent it to me because I couldn't see it. She said, Jerry Otoyo is lifting humanity single-handedly in his own corner of the world. Just imagine when he has Onpassive behind him. Very good, Gene. That's a very good statement. But Jerry, you were phenomenal. I'm not. Marty's got a bunch of stuff in his house. If you know Marty, when the kids get going, he can't hear anything. But he apologizes. He thanks you. He said, "Wow, what a great guy." Same thing. And I'm going to say this, Ash. We found Jerry. We found Jerry, Ash, and he'll be watching this. So, Jerry, I love you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. I want to see you more on some of these webinars, which are all over, but a lot more speaking. Jerry, thank you very much for coming on, and you have a blessed, I think it's Saturday. God bless you, brother, and I'm praying for you. You know that. Keep doing what you're doing.